Hey everyone, my name is Angelo Cortez. I'm a software developer with around 8 years of experience. I wanted to talk today a little bit about my journey with building NipponHomes.com and sort of what I foresee the software development is going to look like in the next 10 years or so, and kind of what you need to bootstrap your own business. And yeah, I'm kind of just, you can see it's been kind of growing the past month. Um, Started this project around May of last year, and it's just been growing steadily since then. So, um, yeah, I wanted to go into this graph here, but this is kind of what I've been seeing, and kind of my thesis going into this project. I kind of started this project around this area. So, Cloud Code Cursor got released, and I just wanted to get my hands dirty with it. And so what I've noticed is that at that time I was kind of being, I kind of had this graph in my head already, but I felt like the value of being an average developer has waned over time since the inception of these, which makes sense, right? The value of code nowadays, it's a lot cheaper than what it was prior to LLMs. And sort of what you need to complement that is someone with exposure. So the people that I partnered with are influencers, and they're just constantly putting out content every day, pushing the site out, and that's kind of helped catapult my growth with this site. So I do feel like if you're a talented developer, you need to look elsewhere too. Um, to get that exposure, because I do know that like a lot of developers have that ego of like, I'm just going to solo build it all. Sure, you can go down that route, but I think it'll be a lot harder. And so if you don't have the luxury of doing that, such as myself, I have a full-time job. I have a 9 to 5 that I have to attend to. So it's just easier to partner with someone who's already in that space. So yeah, that's kind of my thesis, around building. I guess I think it's going to be like this for around the next 10, 20 years or so. I think there's still great value in being a good system design expert. Um, and so, yeah. And then also like going down here, like kind of like my main commandments for building this thing. So I kind of watched this video by Peter Thiel, and he's in Stanford, and you can probably look it up on YouTube if you just type up Peter Thiel Stanford, where he says competition is for the losers. So what he means by that is that you're gonna lose if you're gonna try and compete in like a crowded market. So I found my market, which is Japan real estate in English, right? And so I thought I could build better than the next best thing, and going to this next commandment here, which I learned from Ari Mir himself. I grabbed dinner with him. He's a CEO of Gum, I think Gum Gum and Clutter. But you can look him up. I I went to dinner with him sometime last year or 2 years ago, and then he basically his advice was that find something that's already out there, and then maybe like one of these YC companies, and then try and make it a little bit better. So that's kind of the approach that I took, right? I found something better. I found something out there like a Kia Mart, and then I was like, okay, this kind of sucks. I can make something better. So, and then thirdly, focus on your own skill set. If you're a content creator, right, just keep building, keep pushing out content even if you don't feel like it, right? And see what sticks, right? And then same thing if you're a developer, right? Keep building your skill set. Um, for myself, I was first a software developer in healthcare, but kind of went down this rabbit hole of real estate when my mom was like, "Oh, why don't we get a place out here in Japan?" While we were there for a family trip. So yeah, just go deep and get your hands dirty, and then also finally find someone who complements your skills, because you're not going to be able to do it all realistically, right? There's a lot of talk out there of like, you know, who's going to be the first billion-dollar company that's made by one person. I think we're far from that. I think it is, sure, it might be possible, but I think it's just gonna be a lot of work, right? You definitely do need some folks out there to complement what you don't have. So yeah, hopefully you guys got some wisdom out of that. But that's kind of my journey so far, and just wanted to share that message. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk.